It's not just talk, it's business travel talk. For the latest and greatest on all things business travel, go to businesstraveltalk.com. Hi, welcome to Business Travel Talk. My name is Ben, and I am with my personal friend, longtime friend. His name is Keldon Young. I've gotten to know Keldon over the past few years. We not only have done some wonderful collaborations, but we've had some wonderful lunches together over at the Montreal in South Beach. I will let him share all about that. Before, Keldon, we get into your property and your role, I'm curious, what is one of the most significant things you've done in your career?
It's hard to really contextualize what's the most significant, right? Because I feel like everything applies to everybody a little bit differently. In
Sure.
my terms of what I think was significant and how it impacted not only me, but the guest. You know, when you've worked at various properties and various property levels, the guest level is also very different. And there was one time where, while I was working at a previous property, I had made such an impression on not only the travel agent, but the guest that I was, just having a casual conversation with the guest and mentioning that I was a huge basketball fan. And the client of theirs actually happened to be a player who was actively in the NBA. So she was so thankful for the things that it was that I did for them that she actually set up like a little lunch for me to go ahead and meet the player. Now, normally I don't really fangirl when it comes to working with celebrities, just because working in Miami Beach, you'll come across a lot, right? And I sat down and I was looking at an active NBA player who I'd been watching play the game of basketball since he was in college. My heart skipped a beat a little bit, and that's really when I kind of learned that the opportunity for you to not only create significant experiences for people, but to have significant experiences yourself within hospitality is it's endless.
Out of curiosity, do you remember what you ordered when you were having
No,
this wonderful lunch?
no, not at all. I ordered an old fashioned and
Okay.
something to nibble on. I can't tell you what it was. I was just dying at the fact that an active NBA player was in front of me, showing me his Instagram pages and the secret Instagrams of other players. It was an out of body experience for me.
Especially when you're fangirling that hard, you're
Oh
like,
yeah.
food? What food? Like,
Oh
are you
yeah.
kidding me? Do you know who I'm sitting across the table from right now?
You're right. I'm like, no, take his order. Don't worry about me. I'll get whatever needs to come,
And
like
I'm such a foodie that I will like forget about the company sitting across the table from me, and I'll be like I remember being at Lisa Vanderpump's restaurant Pump,
oh wow.
and I
Yeah.
had the best tuna tartare I've had in my life. I had these incredible cranberries with this like really nice puffed wonton. You said a little bit earlier, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, at one of your previous properties. So, what property are you at now? What do you do? Who the heck are you?
Right. So now I am at the beautiful Mondrian in South Beach. When you
Okay.
think of our hotel, you kind of think of that home away from home in the middle of all the madness. We're at one of the most
Ooh.
southernmost points in South Beach. We've got the largest rooms that you'll find in Miami Beach, with our smallest starting at around 520 square feet. And it really just is a place that is more reminiscent of somewhere you want to be for a long time. And when you're in the hotel, things are calm, things are quiet, you have a restful stay. You're in the residential side of Miami, so you can hop over to Whole Foods and cook your dinner for yourself if you want to.
I don't know
We've
why when
gone there
anyone
so
would
many
even leave
times,
the property. Like I've had
right? You
several
know?
lunches with you, and it's like I even made a video the one time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know why tuna tartare, but you have these tacos.
Right.
Oh,
Yes.
amazing. And when we've sat there, you and I have sat right at the restaurant, which is you have the indoor portion. You've got this gorgeous kind of like banquet area outdoor, indoor, and then we like to dine right by the ocean. You could like, not that we would, but you could like take a grapefruit, just like throw it, and it would be in the water. It's like less than 5% of hotels are like within that proximity to the
Oh, for
coast.
sure. For sure.
100.
There's a lot of oceanside eateries, but you're really not so close to the ocean that you could like swim in it. You know what I mean? Like in our property, if you go over that guardrail, you're in the water. You can quite literally see dolphins breaching the water as you're eating your breakfast. It's incredible.
Have you had guests actually try to jump into the ocean from there?
We've had guests try to enter the hotel from the ocean. Believe
No.
it or not, it never goes from the hotel into the water, but whether they're in a boat, a jet ski, or even swimming, they'll crawl up on the dock and be like, "Hey, can I come in and sit at the restaurant?" Miami's a crazy place. You never know.
Speaking of guests, because you've been at multiple properties, you've seen a variety of different clientele, demographic, etc. How have you seen the hotel guest shift with regard to at least kind of their behaviors, what they're asking for, or have you
Right.
noticed the shift over your career?
Definitely we're noticing a ton of different shifts, right? One of them being that service isn't the same to every guest anymore. But
Oh, okay.
more importantly than anything, guests are really truly driven today by social media. The average traveler is shifting. Travel used to be seen as something that either only the affluent did or people who were in older age ranges.
Mhm.
However, you're now seeing with the advent of Gen Z travelers and millennial travelers that the typical traveler is getting a little bit younger than they were previously. Properties are trying to capitalize on that client base by being very active on social media. And you'll see that social media really does drive a lot of the times where people want to stay. Somebody within like my age bracket, for example, they're going to see places on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and they're going to say, "Oh my God, this picture is gorgeous. I want that moment." People are doing their best to stay at picturesque places. They want to be in the exciting neighborhoods where the incredible photo op is, right? Like I spent a brief time at the Faena in the beginning of my career. And
Yeah.
when I tell you, it's almost as if people went just for the elephant, like it's a very special thing. It's a very Instagram worthy kind of location. And people would flock to go and see that landmark. Guests will check in and ask you where a certain thing is, right? Like we do
Mhm.
a bunch of weddings on our property, and probably the most Instagrammable moment is the brides will come down our historic staircase and they'll take that gorgeous photo with the trail of the dress behind them, and people
Wow.
will come in and look for the staircase, take a picture in their event gowns, and then they'll go about their business. Another really big trend that I'm seeing now is there's a big shift towards people traveling for the purpose of wellness. I think now more than ever people are focused on work-life balance,
Mhm.
and even business travelers are going to places where they want to relax, have fun, and enjoy themselves when they're done working. It's not just about, rate, states, and space and how close can I be to the convention site, right? There's
Mhm.
a few more drivers, and one of the biggest drivers that I've noticed recently is definitely wellness.
The first thing that I couldn't help but think of when you said, people go to Faena for the elephant, or they want to see the staircase with the beautiful dress that trails down and have a similar
Right.
picture. I can't help, the first thing I thought about was sexy fish. I go for the
Oh,
bathrooms.
yes. Oh,
If you
yes.
know, those bathrooms.
For sure. Incredible.
Those bathrooms are
Hmm.
second to none. If you don't know, go Google that right now. Go look at those bathrooms.
Exactly. But
Oh,
see, that's
oh,
how word travels, right? People talk more about the bathrooms than they do about the food because it's Instagrammable. People are taking those pictures and they're being spread around. You have
yeah,
influencers who are driving tons of people to that restaurant. The social media aspect of travel has gotten so strong that hotels actually will go out of their way to partner with influencer programs
yeah.
to make sure that their social media presence is up to date, it's modern, and it's also getting to the right crowds with the most possible reach.
How have you seen the check-in process evolve? I mean, I'm in Vegas, as you know, and I'd like to think we're moving forward, but I still walk through these hotel lobbies and there's such long queues, and it's kind of antiquated, I think, in some environments. The first,
It's funny. I've seen a little bit of both, right? So I've seen kind of the modernization of the check-in process where you'll go to certain properties and they have kiosks, or you'll go to certain properties and they don't even really have a desk. They just have the lobby and people will be moving around on mobile devices, right? I
Mhm.
think check-ins are going to be heavily dictated not only by technology, but in the kind of hotel that you're in, right? Because if you're at a classic luxury property, you want the hotel to do their best to figure you out before you
Yep.
check in. So that way they can kind of tailor your experience to you.
Yeah.
For example, when you're dealing with entertainment, they want to be in and out. They want the keys ready for them as they arrive. They set up billing beforehand.
Mhm.
Typically, they're staying at the same property, so they want the hotel to be able to look back at their previous days and kind of ascertain preemptively what their needs are going to be. The trends are getting more flexible. You used to see everything was the same, right? Everybody would go and stand up at this desk, you wait in line, see if your room was ready, drop off your luggage. So be
Mhm.
it, right? Now you're seeing hotels who are doing sit down check ins. You're seeing hotels who are
Cool.
doing digital check ins. They're sending out pre-email so you can submit your billing, you can submit preferences, ask if you want to book a higher floor, and do all
Mhm.
these things so that way the check-in is ready for you. Or like if you're seeing with like big chain hotels, they're actually doing the check-in process digitally, to the point where if you have rewards points or you have a rewards account, you can check in through your phone after
Mhm.
you've done like all of the pre-screening information. So it's definitely getting more modernized, it's getting more technologically savvy. It's evolving, just like the traveler is.
I love that you said that too. It's like it's not a one size fits all. Something that I've heard and I really believe is that human interaction is the new luxury. We go so far into technology and there's a lot of advancements and it's fabulous. But this interview is amazing. It's one of the best parts of my day because I talk to computers all day long. I interact with
Of course.
technology all day long. And now I get to talk with Keldon and I feel something. I connect with you. And I think that that's going to become more of a luxury as technology plays more of a role. I don't know if you agree with that or
Definitely, definitely. Like that's the topic of conversation at almost every conference you go to, right? Like how is technology going to change travel? And
yeah.
truthfully, luxury is not it's not a cookie cutter experience. Luxury is defined by the traveler and defined
Mhm.
by what their needs are. And you're not going to get that from technology. That's purely
Right.
the human element.
I'm curious, is there a frustration that you've heard, not necessarily from your guests, but you're in the hotel industry. You know significantly more about this than I do. You hear more than I do. Is there a frustration among guests, hotel experiences that you almost like agree with? Like, yeah, people should have more ways for people to check in. You shouldn't only have one channel, or you should have the option to be more sustainable. Or is there anything you've heard that you kind of agree with regard to a frustration, or because you're at the Mondrian, like actually everybody's happy.
And one thing I really appreciate about this property, right? As opposed to like being in other properties. And one thing that I've seen that is a guest frustration is guests really have a hard time with what they expect in terms of how things are described, right? Like, let's say, for example, I've never heard more complaints about one thing besides somebody saying, "Oh, I got a partial ocean view room." Or like a partial bay view room, and then they check in and they have to like stick their heads out the window and look around the corner or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I understand because,
fair.
hotels are selling these things at increased price points,
Hmm.
and if you're going to pay more money, you'd expect to be able to do exactly what it is that you're paying for. And if you pay that money and you feel like you can't, but you're being sold on this facetious language, it's a
Yeah,
tricky thing. And I understand at the hotel's point too, right? Because if you can see it, you can see it. And if it's an opportunity to make a sale and the appetite is out there for it, why not do it? But at the
yeah,
same time, I can also understand the guest sentiment of that not being the most fair way to do things. One thing I love about the Mondrian is like what you see is what you get. If your room says
hmm,
bay view, you're not looking to the left to see the bay. You're dead in front of the bay. We're
yeah,
like situated on the corner and there's no building in front or behind us. So all of our views are completely unobstructed. So
yeah.
when you have a bay view, you paid for and you got that bay view.
It's not a trip to Miami for me unless I go to the Mondrian.
You
It's one
have to. You
It's
have
it
to.
it almost like ruins you because once you're there, you're like, oh man, nothing else is like this. Less than
Exactly.
5% out there. And it's not one of those properties where it's like, oh well, if you look in the reflection of this window at this time, you can see it as the
Exactly.
reflection of the bay. It's like, no, there, it's all right there.
Oh, for
You
sure. You
have it.
see it as soon as you walk in the front door. You can see
Yeah.
it right from the lobby.
Something that I love and hate are trends. And I'm not talking like Tide Pods. I'm talking like actual trends in travel. Have you seen any trends coming in that you almost wish hadn't, or have you seen some trends come in that you're really happy with? Maybe you see an influx in day guests, or something along those lines, or mocktails out by the pool. Have you seen any trends that you hope stay and some that you hope go?
I think one trend that I don't like, and I don't like this trend both as a seller and as a purchaser of travel, right? I really feel like there's certain properties, not even exclusive to Miami. This is something that I've seen all over the world, but it's almost like your service point is dependent on how much you're paying. And I think there's a few hotels that have kind of cast that to the side and really focus on service at every step of the way throughout the hotel. And
Mm,
those hotels benefit. Like being in a hotel and you see one person get one level of service and you yourself aren't getting that level of service, it's gonna leave you with a little bit of a jaded feeling, and you're gonna wonder, what do I have to do to be treated like that, right? You
mhm,
don't wanna I don't agree with inserting kind of like a class system in your hotel. We go on vacation to escape things like this. We shouldn't incorporate that into people's vacations as well.
mhm,
I really feel like one of the things that I do like though, on the other hand, so we talked a little bit before about like pre-screening and the benefit of a lengthy check-in process because they're using that to personalize your stay. I
mhm,
think hotels, because the hotel chains are becoming so dominant and they're buying up their competition, they're realizing the importance of differentiating themselves.
Mhm.
And I feel like a big way to do that is through the way that you personalize your service and the effort that you take to make things work for the person that you're working with. Even just getting creative with like gifts, right? Because like nobody's going to tell every hotel, hey, you need to spend $100 on every guest to make sure you're leaving them with something incredible when they
Right.
leave. But just something small that you know that that guest would appreciate to take with them, right? Like I've seen hotels, they'll have like little tiny bandanas for guests with dogs. You get the logo embroidered or printed or however you go about the process. It's a very low cost item, but it leaves an impression on you, you know, like you'll always remember that. And then when you put it on your dog because your dog looks adorable, right? You're like, oh yeah, I remember we got this from so and so hotel. And people remember these things and they come back. The trend shift towards personalizing things as a way to differentiate yourself is fantastic.
Yeah.
Especially because all hotels are looking for ways to save money, right? Especially in a hard to navigate economy. You know, we as people are looking at different ways to save money, but you still want to be able to set yourself apart from everybody else. And I think personalizing the kind of service that you give is a trend that I think is very positive and something that I think most hotels should adapt. Come one, come all. I think this is something that is very necessary and will get people back into the spirit of wanting to book a hotel as opposed to going to things like Airbnb.
Yeah. To be fair, I don't really I don't know if you have a whole lot of competition. The Mondrian, it's the creme de la creme in my opinion
Oh,
that,
I
you know,
appreciate you. You're
yeah.
spoiling us.
You said the word personalization several times during this past response. And South Beach, I lived there Miami for 3 years, and y'all kind of march to the beat of your own drum. South Beach is a unique environment. How has that kind of shaped your lens, specifically being in that area with regard to personalizing? Have you seen different like requests specific that are relevant to being in that industry or that
Oh
location?
yeah, absolutely. Even if you're coming here for business travel, like you're coming for business travel, but you're also gonna play when you're done with your business, right? Like you're gonna do a little bit of both. What do they call it? Bleisure, right? In Miami, the reason why not only do we march to the beat of our own drum, but the reason why personalization has become such an important thing is because one, people come here to let off steam. And two, there's a bunch of Miami hotels. The vibe of Miami for years has been shopping, beach, and parties, shopping, beach, and parties. Now, wellness is becoming a factor. Social media is becoming a factor. All these different things are starting to play a much bigger part in everybody's decision making.
Yeah.
The pandemic unfortunately caused a lot of the more independent products to either fall by the wayside or just shut their doors forever, right? And in order to stay afloat, you have to give people a reason to work with you specifically. Like, what makes you special? Why should I go to you and not this hotel? Why should I go to
Yeah.
Miami Beach and not go to Delray Beach, right? And it's because we do move to the beat of our own drum. We do truly try to give you a personalized experience. We're really going after the individuality of the guest so that they become loyal to us.
I love that.
And if you have somebody who's loyal to you, they will continue to come back to your property and they will continue to patronize your company. And then you just build your book of business in a beautiful way. If you have somebody who's going to return without, you know, a returning customer is significantly cheaper than acquiring a new customer. And that's sales 101, right?
Yeah.
So I think personalization is the easiest way to do so. When you're dealing with like ultra high net worth individuals, they have all the money in the world. They've seen all the things. Everything is beautiful everywhere, right? There's no amount of novelty that you can show them that's going to impress them anymore. But the way that you handle their time is very, very special to them. So if
Hmm.
you can prove to somebody that this is the place where they want their time to be spent because of the way that they're going to be treated, your couple runneth over.
Oh, chills. I love that. I'm going to throw you a bit of a curveball right now. I am a bit outside of your industry. I play around your environment, but I've never worked specifically in a hotel. What's one thing that's either misunderstood about your role or something that you wish more people understood about what you do and how you conduct business as far as Keldon?
Everybody looks at sales as like this lofty, fun thing, and all you're doing is having dinners, and all you're doing is entertaining people, and all you do is have fun, and you're traveling all the time, and everything is peachy keen, right?
Mhm.
But what I want a lot of other people who look at salespeople and even other people within the hotel industry to understand is that when you're part of the operation, you need to be there for the entire concept to do what it has to do. There are bodies that have to be present. There are positions that have to be filled just for, the service to be provided.
Mhm.
Sales is one of the only parts of an organization that has to constantly prove day in and day out why they need to be employed by this company. And the amount of pressure that comes with that, the amount of anxiety that can come with that,
Yeah.
and the amount of expectations that can come with that is something that most people don't always consider. Like, yes, our job is to entertain people, and we do it because if we don't entertain them and they think about the next person, if you've got all of a sudden 60 grand that you were counting on this year that's no longer coming back. You need to explain that to some very powerful people.
Yep.
And if that happens too many times, they're going to decide that they no longer need you. So you have to be on your A game all the time. And also, sometimes entertaining people that you don't know is one of the most mentally exhausting things that you can do.
Amen.
If you're
Yes.
just out like talking all day long, and this is something that I suffer from, but if I'm using my voice and I'm using my mental capacity to communicate with people constantly, you almost find yourself with your batteries depleted all the time. It's like now that I'm home, I don't want to talk to anyone.
Yes.
I don't want to look at my phone. I don't want to look at a screen. You don't want to do anything. So it's extremely taxing,
Can you say this all again louder for those sitting in the back? I used to work in
you know?
sales, and it is one of the most challenging departments to be in. It is so mentally draining. There's so much pressure that's not only put on you from others, but by yourself, from yourself.
Absolutely.
Because I
Absolutely.
resonate with you. Like you want to do a good job for no reason other than you want to do a good
Mhm.
job. There will be people watching this who have never worked in hotels and might be considering it. As I shared earlier, I'm currently facilitating a course with UC Irvine, and it's all about children or students, I should say. 34. I feel like anyone under 20 is a child, but they're entering hospitality. So if you were
Right.
to speak to the next generation of people entering hospitality, entering travel, what is something that you would maybe lend to them as a token, something to encourage them about the hospitality industry in general?
I would tell them two things. People that are entering hospitality right now. First of all, I think the first thing that you should be aware of is you can't take anything personal. Hospitality and service period is a very high pressure environment sometimes, especially the more the more high level clientele that you're working with, or the different kinds of companies, or the different kind of market sector you're working with.
Mhm.
Sometimes the mood that people are in is decided before they even know what you look like. And there is nothing you can do about that. They're going to be angry no matter what you do. And some
Yeah,
people are angry and they just want to be heard,
yeah,
and that's that there's nothing you can do about that. You have to let it roll right off of you. You can't take it home. You can't take that and express that against your own teammates. It's something that you just have to be indifferent about. And this is something we all struggle with, right? Because it's like you
yeah,
said, sometimes the human condition is sometimes we just want to do a good job. That's just natural, right? Nobody likes to be called out for not doing something properly. But also at the same time, somebody's reaction to something isn't even entirely on you. You
mhm,
could have done everything that they want. Everything is set up beautifully. Hotel's 99% occupied. The room's not ready. They got here at 11. The room's not ready at 12, right? It's not you. There's nothing you can do about that. All you can do is be empathetic, listen, provide as many solutions as you possibly can, and just move on to the next. But
yeah,
on the other half of that same coin, there's not a lot of other fields, at least in my experience and from what I've heard from other people, where success feels as good as it does in hospitality, because you never know the things that you're doing for people, right? Without getting too off topic, I had a situation where I had a guest who was just is a crabby guy, haggled over everything. Every negotiation was painful. Every part of the conversation was painful. But when
uh-huh,
he got to the hotel and he was leaving, he asked the front desk to see me, and I prepared myself like, oh my God, here we go, right? Let's see what happened. And
Uh-huh.
he like gave me a hug and he says, "You don't know what you just did for me. My son just died and
Oh
I
my,
couldn't be in my house anymore." And the man was like almost in tears, like letting me know how thankful he was for creating such a peaceful experience for him and having all his needs taken care of and giving him the best price possible. I just tried to make it so he didn't worry about anything. And it's funny because in the
right.
back of my head, I'm like, I want to make sure everything's perfect so you don't like blow up on me. But you don't know what it was that that person is going through. So it's like your highs are so high in the hospitality industry. Delivering on a guest experience, the genuine raw emotion that you receive from that is unlike anything I've ever seen working anywhere else. When you work in hospitality, sometimes you're making memories for people that they won't forget.
Yeah.
And like you that you can carry that with you every day and that makes it a little bit easier to just put your best foot forward. And
Keldon, you said something. You're like, we can do so much for people, but we can't decide to make them happy. That has to kind
no.
of come from them. And I used to have this saying back when I worked in F&B, and I said, I have a lot of things on my menu. Happiness isn't one of them. I can give you bacon wrapped filet mignon. I can give you the best vegan lasagna you've had in your life, but I don't serve happiness. You have to find that.
Mhm.
I can provide everything for you to find the joy, but as far as me, like, here you go, here's a plate with happiness. You have to kind of bring that on your own. Taking that kind of in a different direction, being unhappy. Is there ever a time that a guest, or what is an example of a guest maybe sabotaging their own trip? Have you ever seen that, or is there a common
Oh
practice?
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah. Any hospitality person is probably going to resonate with this really hard, right? Like your poor planning cannot be my emergency.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, sometimes it is, like people not doing the proper research on an area or the proper research on a hotel and
Mhm.
coming and expecting A through Z, and then when you're not able to deliver on it because of the way things are, or they're not able to get the reservation at this amazing restaurant, but it's one of the most popular restaurants in town, and it happens to be in your hotel, and they're like, "Wow, I'm a guest here and I can't get a reservation." Even if I want to make a booking for somebody, I have to make it like 3 weeks in advance or whatever the
Mhm.
case may be, right?
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, sometimes that'll leave a bad taste in somebody's mouth when it comes to the hotel. And you don't want that to ever be kind of the feeling that resonates.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, somebody not planning their travels correctly and somebody not planning their experiences correctly, there's only so much we can do once they're already here, which
Yeah.
is why I say I enjoy the fact that things are changing and you can see hotels pre-screening guests and asking about their activities and things like that. Like I feel like more than ever, like a director of guest experience is a very important thing. Poor planning can really, really, really derail everything that you have going on with your trip. You
Yeah.
have to plan accordingly. You got to look ahead and you have to give people a chance to help them help you.
I think that can even be taken to a grander scale, like more than like a trip. Just plan ahead and all of life to set yourself up for success. And
Yes.
there have been times where we've enjoyed lunch together, and something's come up, and you've had to go, assist with it. And I've kind of been able to be on the outside watching you be a leader. I love to ask this question of others because I really do think that strong leadership, mentorship, and directorship goes so far with others. What is something outside of work that has shaped your ability to lead, or your thought of what being a strong leader is?
Ooh, family dynamics for sure.
Do
For
tell.
sure. Like I'm the youngest of four in a Jamaican born family, right?
Mhm.
So that basically means I've had six parents all my life. I've taken direction from everybody, from all
Wow.
my aunts, uncles, all my siblings. Like in a Jamaican household, your older siblings are a branch of your parents and they will discipline you as such, right? And one thing that I've realized is really important to me, not only in the workspace, but just in like any form of my life, is autonomy. You can be a great leader and you can even have total input and control on a situation while still allowing people autonomy.
Mhm.
And this is a conversation that I've had through leadership seminars or just in like workshop discussion rooms. And a lot of people have said to me and in rooms that I've been in that they truly do function best in a situation where they feel like, yes, their input is valued, that they're able to make their own decisions, that still a guided process. You don't ever want to just let anybody go figure it out and just trial by fire everything, right? You want to give them some sort of framework to work in, but
Yeah.
also let them be an individual. The
Mm.
number one thing that is the most important to me is to be able to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And that's what's important about like hospitality, right? Like, the way a lot of people shine in hospitality is by being who they are,
Mm.
and you know what you have to do. This is your job task, but being able to do it your own way and
Yeah.
giving people like the levity to do that is extremely important. I can give
Absolutely.
you all the framework in the world. I can show you the way that I like to do things. I can show you the way that things were done by the person who did it before me. But at the end of the day, to me, the best way forward is to provide somebody with a goal, give them with steps that need to be accomplished in order to accomplish this goal, but let them
Mhm.
do it their own way. Give them the room to operate the way that they need to, but also give them a clear path. It's a little bit of balance.
I say the same thing, like, "Give me a sandbox to play in." I won't go outside
Exactly.
of that sandbox, just but let me know where I'm able to go, what I can do. If I need to go outside, we can go and go through that process, but for the meantime, give me my parameters, and I will be a rock star for you, and it sounds like
Absolutely.
you're believing that as well. I know you're a busy guy. I've just got one more question for you, to end this, and I think it's a perfect way to do just that. How do you see the future of business travel?
You know, I know a lot of people are really scared about how AI is going to change business travel. And I can understand why. When you look at certain positions and you think about how things could be automated, it's like, oh, wow, in 20 years, would I have been able to have a job right now?
Mhm.
And not only through like my own trial and error experiences with AI, but just seeing what really does it for people, right? Like our business is fueled by relationship building, whether it's price driven, whether it's location driven. People always feel better working with something that they know is going to be handled appropriately.
Mhm.
And you can only convey that through human interaction. And there's just something about relationship building and the importance of relationships that I feel like will never truly go away in hospitality, just because when you go to a hotel and you leave that hotel and you come back into that city and you have to attend this conference every year and you continuously go back to that hotel that is easy for you to get to where you need to go to, they treat you well, service is great, that's a
Yep.
relationship. Relationship doesn't have to mean that you're talking to this person constantly. It's a feeling of trust. Like you can't just automate everything. At some point, there's going to be a conversation about what really can't be replaced by automation. And I think the future of business travel is a little bit more technically modern, of course. As things change, so does technology. And of course, so do we. We'll always be able to adapt and catch up. But I don't know if the human connection is really going to go away the way that people are scared that it is. We can see already the negativity from removing the human element from things. And at least myself and my social circles, and even, just in like a broad view of the world, people are starting to prioritize human connection again.
I want to leave you with this, a little bit of homework, and others watching as well. Look up the doorman fallacy. It is essentially there's a doorman, and it was replaced by an electric door. And it turns out the doorman did a lot more than just open a door for people. Speaking of relationships, Keldon, I'm so thankful for the relationship and the friendship I have with you. Thank you so much for
Of
being a
course.
leader in this industry, being the definition of hospitality, and just really making me feel seen and supported. I am so thankful that you've been a part of my journey in travel, hospitality, and friendship. So I really appreciate your time, and thank you so much for being here.
Oh my God, I appreciate you too, Ben. Thank you so much for having me and for always being a supporter of mine. Anything you need, I'm there. You say the word.
Go see
Oh,
Keldon at the Mondrian, and until I
please
see you
do.
there, I look forward to seeing you online.
Absolutely. Give me a call. Don't
Yes,
worry.
sir.
I've got you. Anything you need, A to Z.